everyone. In this video, we're going to be talking about the idea of teaching your horse how to follow a soft feel. This is a very important concept that I teach to all of my horses pretty early on in their training. And this is a concept that is going to follow them through their entire careers. And it's really a foundational concept for our horses to learn. So what I'm going to do today is just do a little demonstration. I've got Kelly here today helping me out, and I'm going to show you what it looks like to have your horse be able to follow a soft feel. And you'll see how this is going to have an impact on your communication with your horse. Okay, so you're going to be the horse today, Kelly. Okay. So what you're going to do is put your hands on the whip like this, okay? And we're going to pretend that the whip is the bit in your mouth, okay, and you're the horse. Now this same idea could work if I was using a halter or a cavesson with a lead rope, something like that. But for this demo, we're just going to say that this is the bit, it's in your mouth, which is your hands, okay? All right, so if you're just kind of comfortably holding that bit, the whip, you're not tight, you're not braced, and you're just kind of comfortably holding it, and I want to influence what you're doing, I can put just a little feel on the whip, and I can influence your position. And you can feel how little pressure I'm really having to put on the whip to get you to follow me, right? Because it feels comfortable. It feels easy, so why wouldn't you just follow it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm able to have a lot of influence over you and over your position without having to really put a lot of pressure on you or get really physical, right? Okay. Now, a lot of horses have experienced things where people get really strong and start yanking on them and pulling them around and things like that. And what they learn to do is brace, okay? Because if you're having your mouth pulled on or your nose pulled on, if we're talking about a halter, you're going to brace against that to try and protect yourself, right? Okay, so now go ahead and brace on that whip there. Okay, so now if I try to move you around, I'm putting the same amount of pressure, maybe even a little bit more, and I'm not able to move you around at all because you're braced against me, right? So I can't have that same communication with you that I had before, right?
Definitely.
Okay, so you can let go for a second. Thank you. So you may have heard the term a hard-mouthed horse or a soft-mouthed horse. And really the difference isn't that the horse's mouth is any harder or they can't feel what's going on. It's whether or not their mouth is braced and tight or it's soft and relaxed. Okay. The horse is soft, then it's going to be easy to communicate with them and easy to influence them and guide them into different positions. If the horse's mouth is tight and braced, then it's going to be really difficult to communicate with them because that tension is going to impact your communication and make things more difficult. So when I'm first introducing the halter to my horse, or then later on the bridle and the bit, I want to make sure that I'm always using a soft feel so that my horse never learns how to brace against that contact. I want them to feel comfortable with me using the different equipment. I want them to feel like they can be relaxed and they can stay soft when I'm communicating with them, and they don't learn to brace against that. Now, some horses, and I have a lot of horses that I work with, that have had previous experiences that have taught them how to brace. So they've already learned how to brace. So in that case, we want to retrain them and kind of reprogram them to learn that I'm not going to pull on them, I'm not going to yank on them, I'm not going to force them to do anything. And then over time, they can learn how to relax and get softer in their mouth and learn how to follow that soft feel. So if you go ahead and take a hold again and go ahead and be a little braced again. So if you're braced and I put a feel and nothing happens, I'm going to just keep my pressure there and I'm going to wait. And I might put just a little bit of a vibration in and see how you're starting to soften into it a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So then again, if we go the other way, if you're braced, I'm going to put just a soft feel, maybe a little bit of a vibration, and I'm just going to wait until you start to soften into that. Okay. You feel how that kind of encourages you to actually soften and relax? Now, if you're braced and I try and just pull you, what are you doing? You're bracing even more against me, right? So if I try to force you, you're just going to brace even more, right? So that's one of the key things to keep in mind is that you can never force relaxation or softness. It's something that you can encourage the horse to help find, but you can't force it. If you try and force this, the horse is just going to get tighter and more braced. Now, some horses, when they feel any kind of a connection with the bit or with the halter, they might start moving their heads around to try and avoid it. Yeah, so go ahead and pretend your hands are your head and just kind of move them around. And I'm going to show you how I'm just going to kind of follow you and see how I'm able to maintain my connection to you, but I'm not increasing my pressure at all, but I'm also not going away. And I'm just going to wait until you decide that you're okay with me being here. And then, we can find that softness together, okay? So if I have a horse that is resistant to me taking a connection with, again, whatever it is, the halter, the cavesson, the bit, you see it a lot with the bit because horses have had more heavy-handed type of handling and they learn how to brace against it and they want to avoid that connection with the bit. So as you start moving around, I don't want to increase my pressure because, again, that's just going to cause you to brace more and to resist me more. But I also don't want to just go away because then you're not going to learn how to be comfortable with that connection, right? So I'm just going to stay there with you, maintaining my soft feel until you feel like you can relax and be okay with that. Cool. All right, you can let go of that. So then this idea can also work with your other aids too. So as I'm doing in-hand work, I might want to touch my horse to ask them to maybe yield a certain part of their body. Or if you're riding your horse, you can think about how you're going to use your leg. So same idea where I want my horse to be able to follow a soft feel. So if I think about my hand, or you can imagine your leg while you're riding your horse, if it's just there touching Kelly, and I just kind of give you a little soft feel like that, again, you can see how easy it was for me to have an influence over you and move you, right? Because you're soft and you're accepting and it feels okay, so there's no reason for you to resist it, right? If I come over and I just push you, like what did you do? You braced against me, right? That's going to be your instinctual response, and the same thing for the horse. So when I use, whether it's my hand if I'm doing in-hand work or my leg if I'm riding, I want to think about that soft feel in order to influence the horse that way, okay? And then sometimes I might use my whip when I'm communicating with the horse. And for me, the whip is just an extension of my arm because horses are very much larger than we are. So I can't always reach all of the places that I want to with just my arm. So the whip is just an extension of my arm. So I might want to touch the horse on a certain leg or a certain part of the body to tell them, to do something with that leg. Maybe I want a little more activity, or I want it to step laterally, or whatever the case is. I don't want to come over and just whack my horse. What did you do? You don't trust me very much. Okay. So I want to come slowly, and then when I do touch, and I might do a little tap, but it's more like a, hey, think about this part of your body. Like, do something with this part of your body. I'm bringing attention to this part of your body, right? It's not like a, hey, get over, you know. It's like, hey, do something with this part of your body, right? Okay, so when you can find this soft feel with your horse, then you're not going to have to be pushing and pulling and forcing and kind of manipulating them into different positions. And it ends up being kind of like a dance between you and your horse, where you can just softly guide them into the different positions that you want. And when you can find that, it becomes really enjoyable for both you, because you're not having to work as hard and you're not having to force your horse into doing things. And then also for your horse, because it's just going to be so much more comfortable for him. He's going to feel safer. He's going to feel like he can relax. He's going to feel more comfortable. And then when he is softer in his body, it's going to make it easier for him to be guided and for him to be able to perform whatever it is that you're asking him to do. If the horse is tight in his body, he's going to have a hard time doing any kind of athletic movements. So we want to think about finding that softness first in the horse before we ask them to do any kind of athletic movements or any kind of strength building or coordination building or that kind of thing. We need to release the areas of tension, find softness in the horse's body, and then we can move on from there. So I hope this helps you to understand a little bit better what we're looking for when we talk about the idea of a soft feel and having your horse follow a soft feel.